Hello, 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 hello. Happy Monday. Hey, Pastor Chelsea. Good to see you on here. I am going to give it a few more, well, a couple of more seconds for people to come on in. Hey, Ashanta, thank you for tagging. Thank you for tagging. I appreciate that. Happy Monday. I hope that you all's week is off to a great, productive start. Hey, Pastor Aisha, good to see you. Hi, Keisha, I see you over there on YouTube. Come on in, come on in. And as you're coming in, if you can do me a favor, tag and share, tag and share. Hey, Jasmine, good to see you. I hope you are enjoying your day off. All of the educators who have today off, I hope you're enjoying your day. Hey, Shay, I see you over there on YouTube. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the flow. Welcome to the flow. I have a word for you today. I'm sure you saw today's topic, how to live a miserable life. How to live a miserable life. You might be saying, what in the world is she going to be talking about today? Well, we are going to get into it. So thank you all for jumping on. Thank you for tagging. Thank you for sharing and letting people know that I am live. I know I always say, oh, I don't have long today. And I end up still teaching for an hour, but I really don't have long today. I have to take my daughter to a dress rehearsal for band and I have to leave at 12:45. So I really don't have long today. Hey, Felicia, good to see you. Hey, Prophetess Brandy. So I really do have to get off by 12:45 today. So I actually have to stick to it. I might need to go ahead and set myself a timer just so I can stay on track because once I get going, I'm going to totally forget about the fact that I have to leave here. So okay, I got myself a timer, y'all. I have a timer so that I really can get out of here on time and get my daughter to her dress rehearsal for UIL. Hi, I see you, Glenda, on YouTube. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me on Facebook Live and YouTube. Thank you guys for sharing and tagging. I do feel that today's teaching is very vital for your next. You all know that whenever I teach, I am teaching from various perspectives. We're looking at it from the spiritual growth perspective always. We always want to make sure that we are growing in God. Hey, Michaela. And we also want to look at it from a mental health perspective because that is who I am. So I'm also going to address things from your perspective and your mindset and your mental health and relational health and emotional health. That is who I am. I cannot be anyone but Shari. So we are always going to look at it from various perspectives, and that is no different today. So thank you guys for joining me on my weekly broadcast, The Flow. If you haven't already, please make sure that you share and you tag others to watch with you. And if you want to connect with me, you can do so through my website, which is on the lower third, ShariEddington.com, or you connect with me on IG or TikTok at I am Shari Eddington. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Hey, Pastor LaShonda. So we're going to go ahead and get into it because like I said, I have to end by 12:45 today to get my daughter to her dress rehearsal. So we're going to jump into it. So what I want to talk about today is people pleasing. That is what we're talking about. When I say how to live a miserable life, the way that you're going to live a miserable life is by living a life that is dictated by other people. Okay. And many of you may be experiencing this right now. You may be experiencing a life that is frustrating for you. You may not feel completely fulfilled. You may feel like you are restricted. Why? Because the essence of it is coming from the fact that you are trying to please people and God. Kenny said, oh, Lord. You're trying to please people and God. Let's turn really quickly to Galatians chapter 1. Galatians chapter 1, and we're going to read verse 10. Just verse 10. That's it. Galatians chapter 1, verse 10. And it says, "For do I now persuade men or God? Or do I seek to please men? For if I still pleased men, I would not be a bond servant of Christ." Okay? He says, if I still please men, I would not be a bond servant of Christ. So, what the Apostle Paul is saying is, if my focus and my desire is to please men, I can't be a proper bond servant or slave to Christ. I cannot, and some folks already done jumped off because they like, Lord, ain't nobody trying to do that today. Ain't nobody trying to be listening to something that is going to challenge me to address this people pleasing thing. But I'm sorry, we got to do it. We got to do it, because how many of you know that in order to give God a yes, sometimes you have to give other people a no? And some of you began this year and you even began this month saying, "Yes, God, yes, yes to your will, yes to your way, yes every day." You know, we get to church and the word is good and the worship is good and the praise is good. And sometimes you get a prophetic word and you're just saying, "Yes, okay, God, I'm ready to obey you," but you don't want to give anybody else a no. So, in order to give God a full yes, that means that you have to give some people a no. And see, many of us just look at it from the perspective of saying yes to God and we stop there. But what about when your yes to God inconveniences other people? What about when your yes to God is going against what other people want from you? If you haven't already tagged and shared, please do so now. What about when your yes to God is going against what other people want for you or from you, or they feel that they need you to be? And that's where many of us get into this conundrum and we have this internal conflict because we have a desire to really please God and to do what He wants us to do and to be who He wants us to be. And the thing that causes us to renege on all the things that we've told God we were going to do this year, all the instructions we told God we were going to follow, all the things that we said, God, yes to, when somebody comes to us and then they start making requests or they have expectations or they are trying to lead you away from what God is saying, then we have to decide who we're going to give a no to. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of people have become idols in our life. A lot of people have become idols, whether it's your parents, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your siblings, whether it's your members, whoever it is. Whenever you have to tell God no to tell them yes, they are an idol. Did you hear what I said? When you have to tell God no to tell somebody else yes, that person is your God. Because for us to even have the audacity and the desire, the courage to say no to God means that there is something that we deem greater than God. Y'all ain't ready for this word. If I tell God no so that I can please my parent, then that my parent is my God. If I tell God no so I can please my spouse is my God. Whoever I tell yes over God has become God for me, because I am willing to disobey the one that I say is King of Kings and Lord of Lords and creator of heaven and earth and the one who breathes life into me. I'm willing to disobey him for people. And so you cannot be a bond servant of God and still please men. At some point in your walk with God, for you to grow and evolve, you got to start telling people no. And some of the reason why many of us stop evolving and stop growing is because we start telling God no instead of telling people no. And we live a life that is dictated by what people want for us. Okay? Proverbs 29, verse 25 says, the fear of man brings a snare. That snare, it means bait or lure. But whoever trusts in the Lord shall be safe. The fear of man brings a snare. It catches you. But whoever trusts in the Lord shall be safe. So the fear of man is a trap set by the enemy. Do you hear what I'm saying? The fear of man is a trap set by the enemy. The enemy uses the fear of man to bait you into his trap. And it says, but when you trust in the Lord, you shall be safe. There is no safety in trusting and fearing man and trying to live a life that is trying to please man. There is no safety there. I just want to help somebody today because some of you are at a point where you are really, really committed to growing in God and walking in purpose. And I want to make sure that you don't have any stumbling blocks that are going to keep you from being all that God wants for you to be and doing all that he wants you to do. And especially if you're called to leadership, because in leadership, you cannot afford to be a people pleaser. You are not going to be a good leader if you are a people pleaser, because you will do what the people want you to do rather than what's best for them. Okay? You're going to end up doing what people want you to do instead of doing what's best for the people. And sometimes what people want is not what's best for them. And as a parent, if you have children, if you have nieces and nephews, you can understand that there are times where you have to tell your child no, because that's what's best for them. But then you will turn around and do the opposite to other people. You can understand that concept as a parent, but you don't understand that concept as a friend. You don't understand that concept as a leader. You don't understand that concept with your own parents. And so we have to understand that there comes a point in our lives where we are going to have our back against the wall and we have to tell people no. And we have to learn that our actions cannot be dictated by what people want. And see, this is the reason why many of us are afraid of saying no, because you're afraid of finding out the truth about the people in your life. Do you know what that truth is? The truth is that their love is conditional. And many of us don't want to tell people no because we're afraid to find out that people only want us around when we're doing what they want us to do. And let me tell you something. I want you to lean in. If you're afraid to tell people no because you're afraid that they will be mad at you, you already know their love is conditional. You're just trying to lie to yourself. Because anytime I'm afraid that someone will walk away from me saying no, I know who they are. And I know that they're using me. I know that they're manipulating me. The moment you become afraid and you say, oh, if I tell them no, they're going to be mad. If I tell them no, they're not going to want to talk to me. Honey, you see them, you know the truth, and you're allowing it to happen. You know the truth and you're allowing it to happen. Because if I'm afraid that they're going to leave me from me telling them no, I know that their love is conditional. That means I'm inviting people into my life who to manipulate me and to use me. And for many of you, it may be a parent. It may be a parent, and you feel like I can't deal with the reality that my parent only loves me when I'm doing what they want. And so you're constantly bending over backwards to try to please them. But can I just tell you something? If you find out that your parent only loves you or only shows you love, I believe that their love is deeper than that. Then they only show you love when you're doing what they want. Can I tell you something? The reality is that your parent is broken. They're still a broken person, even though they're your parent. They're broken. And that is not your responsibility. That's not your responsibility. It's not your responsibility to try to patch up their brokenness by you being a people pleaser. And as a child, I feel something on this. I feel there's some people on here that need to hear this. As a child, you need to free yourself from the obligation of trying to heal your parent. Oh, Jesus. Somebody needed that freedom today. As a child, you got to free yourself from the obligation you've given yourself to heal your parents. And you are over here bending over backwards, trying to keep them from being upset with you. So you're trying to please them. And guess what? When a person is broken, the finish line of what's going to satisfy them keeps moving. When a person is broken, all the qualifications of what's going to make them happy and what's going to please them, it keeps changing. So you've been this way because they say, if you do this, I'll be happy. And then they're still not happy. So then you've been this way. And they say, well, if you do this, I'd be so happy. And they're still not happy. You can't satisfy a broken person. And you're trying to be God to them, and they become God to you. Jesus. You're trying to be God to them. You're trying to heal them in a way that only God can. And then you've also made them your God because you desire to please them more than you desire to please God. You're telling God no to tell them yes. They are your God. You're codependent. You're codependent. You become codependent. And when we become people pleasers, it's a form of codependency. People pleasing is a form of codependency. Codependency is when you invest your self-esteem in the ability to influence behavior and feelings of others. Did you hear what I said? Codependency is when you continually invest your self-esteem in the ability to control or influence the behavior and feelings of others. And so when you're codependent, you're trying to influence people's behavior and feelings about you. So you begin to do things for them to try to make them love you or like you, or want you in their life, or need you in their life. And so you're performing to manipulate their feelings and thoughts about you. This is free counseling. Please help the people, Kenny. Please let them know. This is free. People charge way more for the stuff I give for free on Facebook. I've seen people charge $500 for a course that I do for free in 45 minutes. So if you ain't tagged and shared, people, please do so. Because I do this because I love the people of God and I want to see you grow. I want to see you grow. I want to see you change. I want to see you heal. And so when we become codependent, we're investing our self-esteem and our ability to control or influence behaviors and feelings in other people. So we perform and we tap dance and we do all these things to try to get people to feel or behave a certain way to us. It's also a form of manipulation. Codependent relationships are manipulative relationships. Okay? Codependent relationships are based in manipulation because you're trying to get people to feel and think a certain way about you. You're trying to control how they feel about you. And so we overcompensate. and we people please to get people to love us or to want to be in relationship with us or to need us. And when you get yourself in that type of situation, y'all, when you're codependent, when you're a people pleaser, can I tell you something? You're destined for a miserable life. You're destined. You're destined for a miserable life. You're setting yourself up to be unhappy, to be unfulfilled, and to be outside of the will of God because you can't please broken people. When people are broken, their requirements will constantly change, and you will never be enough because you're not designed to be enough. You will never be enough, honey. You will never be enough. I don't care how much you change. I don't care how much you do what they want. You will never be enough. And that's not your fault. It's not your fault. That you're not enough for them. It's not because you're not enough as a person. It's because they're looking to a person to fulfill what only God can. They're looking to a person to meet the needs that only God can meet. And so they don't even know what they want. They don't even know what they want. And this is why things keep changing. They can't tell you. They think they want this. You give them that, it's not that. They think they want this. You give them that, it's not that. And as a leader, if you don't learn how to prioritize pleasing God over people, you will burn out and you will lose your mind. Because look, I can tell you now as a pastor, honey, if you don't get free from people pleasing, you will end up burnt out, despising God and hating people. Because you will perform to get people to feel okay and safe. And what's good for one person is not good for another person. What's love for one person is not love for another person. So there's no way to please all of these different people with all of these different stories, with all of these different experiences. You will kill yourself. And it's not the will of the Lord that you live a life miserable. He said that you may have life. He came that you may have life and have it more abundantly. And can I tell you, that's not just about money. That's about joy. That's peace, love. That's fulfillment, purpose. All of those things are wrapped in abundance. That abundant life, it means from various perspectives. It's not just financial abundance. It's an abundance of peace. It's an abundance of joy. It's an abundance of purpose. God wants that for you. He wants that for you. But in order for you to get that, to obtain it, you have to desire to please him more than you desire to please people. And can I just encourage somebody who is going through feeling abandoned by people because you finally set boundaries and you're finally telling people no and you're finally getting free from people pleasing and now everybody's walking away? Can I just tell you something? God is cleaning house so that he can send some people that have healthy mindsets and that are in a good place and that will steward you properly. So you're not destined to be alone because you decided to stop people pleasing and because you decided to set boundaries. You are not going to be alone forever. God is going to send some people to your life that have similar mindsets. He's going to send support. He's going to send love. He is going to do that because he doesn't desire for us to be alone. He himself said it's not good for man to be alone. So it's not your destiny to be alone. And anybody who feels like it is their destiny to be alone, then the enemy is deceiving you. That is not the will of the Lord. But sometimes you have to go through a season where you only can depend upon God. Sometimes he has to take you through a season where he moves people out the way so that you can get free and you can focus on him. He becomes your Lord. He becomes your Savior. He becomes your provider. He becomes your healer. He moves everybody out of the way that you once looked to for all of those things so that he can become first. Then he brings new people into your life who can handle where you are. And so some of you are regretting because you're saying, man, I finally did what God said. I'm telling people no, and now I don't have anybody. See where this left me? This left me all by myself. No, it didn't. This is temporary. But God has to get you to a place where you stop looking to people to be to you what only he can be to you. And once he knows that you are dependent upon him, he will send new people to your life. Let me tell you something. God knows us very well, and he knows what we need to change. And he knows our inclinations and our personality, and he knows, okay, for this one I need to take them through a season where everybody is removed from their life, because that's the only way I can get their attention, because they're way too into everybody else. But once he gets your attention, he gets you where he wants you to be, he will bring new people into your life. But I'm just here to tell you that at this turning point that you're at, God is addressing your need to please people. And he is addressing you putting yourself in toxic environments, all for the sake of pleasing people. I just did a post that said it's risky choosing your spouse or your mate when you have low self-esteem and low self-worth. It's very risky. I've seen so many people end up in unhappy marriages because you have low self-esteem and low self-worth, and you're a people pleaser. Some of you are with folks just because you're afraid of breaking up with them. You know you don't need to be with that person. You don't want to break up with them. Some of you are in relationships because you don't feel like you can do better or you can get anybody else. The devil is a liar. It is never the will of God for you to be in an unhealthy relationship, all for the sake of having somebody. It is not the will of God. And that's a very toxic level of people pleasing, when you allow yourself to go through unhappiness and pain. And I'm gonna just drop this on you. Some of you know this because you've heard me teach on this before. Because, like I said, people pleasing is a form of codependency. But let me tell you something: codependency is considered a process addiction or a behavioral type of addiction. Codependency is considered an addiction. Okay? A process addiction means that it's not a substance related addiction, but it's typically involving compulsive acts. Okay? That you repeat. You're repeating them over time. And so it can still create negative consequences, and you continue to do it, just as a substance addiction. So when you are dealing with chronic codependency, it's a form of an addiction. And you see it's harmful, but you can't stop it. That is the very definition of an addiction. And so for some of you, you're trying to figure out why you've had such a hard time kicking people pleasing, because you have tapped into a form of an addiction. You know it's unhealthy, but you can't seem to stop doing it. And that is going to require some deep levels of deliverance and healing and mindset shifting, okay, to break the habit. Because I know logically that it's bad. I know it's unhealthy, but I can't seem to break the cycle. So you really need God to move supernaturally on your behalf to free you and to deliver you from that addiction. And you also need to go through counseling and things to shift your mindset about this behavior and to break the mental habit and emotional habits. Like I tell you guys, we can get delivered from a demon, but still have the habits that that demon created. So when you were bound, you created habits, and now you're free. The habits are still there. And so for some of you, you need to go and to change your mindset and your mental and emotional habits so you can break this codependency, because you are looking at yourself needing people in a very unhealthy way. And so when God is trying to promote you and increase you in your purpose and your calling, but you seem to keep sabotaging yourself because you're always worried about what people think about you, this is why you can't seem to grow. If you are called into leadership, you have to address that immediately. If you cannot handle people being unhappy with you or not liking you, you need to address that immediately, because there is no way that you can be a leader and not deal with that type of situation. That's a part of the price of leadership. That's a part of the price of leadership. You have to deal with people not liking you. You have to deal with people being mad at you. You have to deal with people lying on you. You have to deal with people receiving you wrong. You have to deal with people projecting their pain and their issues onto you. This is the price of leadership. And many people want the influence, but they don't want to pay the price. They want the title, they want the legacy, but they don't want to pay the price. And many of you are trying to move up through the ranks of leadership without addressing people pleasing and without addressing your fear of people not liking you. Honey, you got to address that thing and you got to get over it. You have to stop investing your self-esteem in people's opinion of you. You have to stop investing, which means I'm giving you the right to dictate how I feel about myself, depending on your mood. Did you realize that you were doing that? You're giving people the right to determine how they feel about you and what they think about you based on their moods. And you know, our moods are unstable. Our emotions are like this. We having a bad day, they hate you. They having a good day, they love you. You have to get to a point where you separate your self-worth from how they feel and what they think and what they say. Take your self-worth back. Stop giving people the power to determine what you think about yourself and how you feel about yourself. Some of y'all can't even handle people saying stuff on social media about you, let alone hearing them say something to your face. And we're talking about we want to be leaders. We want to have influence. We want to change lives. Well, with changing lives, you're also going to get people who despise you. And some of the people that will come to despise you are people whose life you've impacted. And if you don't detach your self-worth and your value from how people feel and what they think about you, your self-worth and your value will go up and down with their emotions. You'll be on the roller coaster with them. And when everybody's praising you, you'll feel good about yourself. And when people are mad at you, you'll feel bad about yourself. This is why some of your self-esteem is inconsistent, because it's based on what people think. When they're clapping, you're like, oh, I'm great. I'm a great person. I have purpose in the world. And when people are booing you, you're saying, oh, I'm horrible. I don't know who I am anymore. You got to stop that. You have to stop that. You have to stop investing who you are and how you think about yourself by what people and people accept or reject you. Stop tap dancing. Take the tap shoes off, Bojangles. We out here Bojangles for everybody. Tap dancing. Please like me. Please love me. Please think I'm great. Please say I'm a good leader. Please say I'm smart. Please say I'm pretty. Take the tap shoes off. Stop dancing around. You won't even worship God, but you tap dancing for people. We will sit there and look God in his face in the spirit and say no, and then turn around and be dancing around for some people that ain't got no power to put you in heaven or hell. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. We're dancing around for people who have no power to dictate our destiny, who don't give us purpose, who can't heal us, who can't provide for us, who don't prosper us. We are tap dancing for people who can give nothing to us but a little attention, a little praise. But then we will tell God no. The one who holds our future, our life, the one who literally gives us the ability to wake up daily. We will tell him no to tell some folks who can't give us nothing but a little bit of love and celebration. Our value is invested in the wrong place. This shows you that your self-esteem is not invested in God. Your self-esteem is invested in people. People who don't even like themselves. Did you hear what Jesus. People who don't even like themselves are holding your self-esteem in their hand. People who don't even know how they feel about themselves have your self-worth in their hand, and they can decide how you feel about yourself. That you've given it to them. But the one who holds your destiny, the one who gives you life, the one who prospers you, the one who heals you, the one who has given you the anointing and the gifts and the calling, you haven't given him your worth. He made and shaped you and formed you, and you don't even invest your life in him. But you let some old raggedy person, some troll on Facebook, determine that you don't feel good about yourself because they said something negative about you. Now your whole day is ruined because some raggedy person behind a computer screen who don't even like themselves said something negative, and now you all worrying about who you are. My God, we got to grow up. We have to come out of this dysfunction and this immaturity. Because listen, the moment you start placing who you are and your worth and your value in God, hell knows they can't stop you. Because let me tell you something, and I got 5 minutes left. Let me tell you something. Lucifer knows he cannot stop the plan of God. So his plan is to make you stop you. His plan is to keep you from knowing that he really has no authority over your destiny and over your future. So the way that he does that is by tricking you to place your worth in people. Because he knows that if you place your worth in people, because people are broken and we are born into sin and shaping into iniquity, you will be destined to forever feel like you're not good enough, because when people don't feel good enough, they're not going to let you feel good enough. And so he knows that if he can get you to place your identity and your purpose in people and your value in people, then he can keep you from being what God wants you to be. He knows that the moment that you awaken to who you are in Christ and you begin to see that your life is hidden in him, and you begin to see that your value is in the way that the Father sees you, he cannot stop you. Only thing he can do is make you stop you. And the way that he's making you stop you is by being a people pleaser and investing your self-worth in people's opinion of you. Because he says once they see, Jesus, once they really understand that they were created in the image and likeness of Elohim, once they understand that they are supernatural beings and there really is nothing that they cannot do, once they understand that when they speak the word of the Lord, that angels hearken unto the voice of God's word, once they understand that when they declare what God says, that his word will not return void, but it will accomplish all that it was sent to do. Once they understand that greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. Once they understand that they are a royal priesthood and a chosen generation. See, when they come to the understanding that they have what I've always wanted to have, once they come to the understanding that you are who Lucifer always wanted to be and you have what he always wanted you to have, he knows that there is nothing that anyone on this earth can keep you from doing. There is no one that will be able to silence you or stop you or shrink you or make you feel like you are unworthy. See, once you awaken to the fact that he is greater and he has called you to greater, that he said, greater work shall you do, because I go back to the Father, that you house God in you, that you have the ability to use the power that he's placed in you, and you have access to heavenly things and divine things and supernatural things. Once you realize that, baby, I'm telling you, hell will begin to shake and quake, because they said they have awakened to the power of God and they are going to go accomplish what I've created them to. I just need you to grab a little bit of this and to begin to become self-aware of the fact that you have nothing stopping you but you. You have nothing stopping you but you. Nothing stopping you but you. Hell cannot stop you. All hell can do is threaten you and make you afraid and deter you. But hell has no authority to stop what God has ordained. And you have to know that, yes, people are going to use you. People are going to reject you. People are going to be mad at you for setting boundaries. But you need to know that you're going to be okay. When you find out the truth about people, when you tell them no and they become angry, you need to know that you will recover. That God will help you recover. It will hurt. You will cry. You will be upset. But guess what? You shall not die. Many of us are living our lives running from pain and disappointment because we are convinced that we can't take it. But can you just begin to look at your testimony and your story and all that you've been through, and you can testify that you've made it through things that you didn't think you would make it through, that you have survived things that you didn't think you could survive. So I want to silence the lie of the enemy that tells you that you can't make it if something else happens, and you can't make it if this person walks away, and you can't make it if that person's mad at you. Yes, you can, and you will. You can, and you will. You can, and you will. You can make it, and you will make it. It will hurt, but you will recover. You will cry, but you will recover. It will disappoint you, but you will recover. It will make you angry, but you will recover. You will recover, because we serve Jehovah Rapha, the God who restores, the God who heals. And guess what? It's available for you. You will recover. You will recover. You can tell them no, and yes, they're going to show their tail. They're going to show who they really are. But you will recover, and you will be free, and you will have joy, and you will be able to live the life God has called you to live instead of the life you've been living to please other people. You will be able to do what God has called you to do with freedom and with peace. You will stop walking on eggshells around people because you're afraid of how they're going to feel or what they're going to say or what they're going to do. You will be free. And guess what? Some of them need you to say no so they can grow up and they can heal. Some of them need to show their tail so they can see what's in them that needs to heal. Because they've convinced themselves that they're not controlling. They convinced themselves that they're not users. And the moment you say no, that demon gonna manifest, honey. All that rejection and that control issues and that manipulation is gonna manifest. And they're gonna show their tail. But they need to see what's in them so that they can address it and they can heal. But as long as you continue being a people pleaser, you are enabling them to stay bound and broken. You're enabling them. They need to see that they need to heal. And I've seen it happen so many times. You tell a person no, they start manifesting and acting out, but guess what? They need to see it. They need to say, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. I didn't realize I was that broken. I didn't realize I had all that in me. Yes, but you need to address it. You need to go get healed. And guess what? And you can handle it. You will recover. Well, I got to get out of here. Okay. I pray that this helps somebody. I hope that you shared this. Pastor Sandra says she needs a part 2. We might have to do that. But I hope that you shared this, that you tag some people to watch the replay later. And I just want you to receive it. If you got to go back and watch it again and receive it all over again, I need you to begin making intentional steps. Okay, making intentional steps to address the people-pleasing behavior and the codependency that you are dealing with, because you can't give God yes without having to give people no. You can't give God yes without having to give people no sometimes. When people are not in the same place and they don't want God's will for your life, you're going to have to give them a no. But you will survive. You will. It hurts. It does. But this is an opportunity for you to lean into our Savior, for you to lean into our Father and allow Him to comfort you and strengthen you and surround you so that you can see that you can make it. The enemy likes to make it seem big and scary, like it's something insurmountable or impossible to overcome, but you can do it. You can do all things through Christ. Don't use it as a cliche. It's true. Apply it to your life. I love you all with the love of Christ. Make sure you set your alarms for next Monday at noon. Join me back here again for another broadcast of The Flow. Join us at Liberate Church this Wednesday at 7:30 for Wednesday Pour. I'm going to be teaching this Wednesday as we continue in our series Rafa, and join us again on Sunday for Sunday Encounter at 10:15. You guys have a wonderful rest of the week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.